says one dumb thing.
I'd sort of like to see the whole emphasis shift a little. I was very happy when Obama gave that very long speech on racism, because it was the first time that anybody in that sort of position, either from Congress or a presidential candidate or any sort of public position like that, spoke at such length and with such depth about racism. And I think that's what we need at this point. We need that sort of dialogue and discourse. And it's often reported as if it's a kind of baseball game or a sports event, and Michael Phelps, who's swimming faster. I mean, I adore Michael Phelps. I was right on the edge of my seat, but that's not what a democracy. That's not how democracy evolves. We need to ourselves as citizens be able to hear from candidates what they feel about these positions, and we need the media to discuss these decisions and these questions at more depth. And they're the ones who emphasize, these little quirky issues.
So how would any one of you, encourage the American electorate to mature in that direction?
I want to talk to that. That's what turns me on, exactly. And in fact, Unafraid is really just a vehicle to get conversations going. It's a portrait of advanced, progressive, quality, high integrity leadership that is absolutely impossible to achieve without a quality of citizenship to match it. Leadership and citizenship are joined at the waist, and they'll either pull each other down, which is mostly what we've seen in the last few years, or can lift each other up. And it's going to take a persistence that we haven't seen before. Now, given how crazy people's lives feel and how busy they feel, I don't know a lot of people saying, do you know a lot of new meetings I could go to in the evening? I'm short on meetings. I need more lectures to go to. The key, it seems to me, and I'm doing workshops with people trying to brainstorm this, bring collective ideas on this, is how do we make our citizenship and our public engagement integrate with the things we like to do? How do we make it fun, satisfying? How do we do it with people we already want to be with? How do we make it not just the thing we have to do before we can get on with our enjoyable lives, but part of our enjoyable lives? I'll never forget one meeting I was at. I'll bet many of you have had the same experience. It was a few years ago at Southern Oregon University, meeting about education. It was on a weekend. We were hoping students would come. None came. There were about this many people sitting around. Didn't look like anything but gray hair in the audience. And the moderator said, "Is there anybody here under 25?" And one young guy raised his hand and brought him up to the stage. And we started asking him questions, and we said, "Why are you the only one your age here? Why isn't anybody young here?" And he said, "You folks meet on some pretty important things in a god-awful boring way. Your meetings are really boring. Where is the food? Where is the music? Where's the fun here?" And I think at first I went, well, that's not really what we're here to do. But man, is there a lesson there? Because we can't energize citizenship and participation in a way that's going to make a bit of difference unless we integrate it in the things that give us pleasure in our lives. And
I think
political
comedy. I think political comedy. I think I'm not very proselytizing on stage. I don't, except for Prop 8. That's about the only thing where but I don't endorse a candidate, and I'm against Prop 8, by the way.
I was going to say,
Better make that. That's the only thing that I go out of my way. But normally, what I think we can do as entertainers, or what we do here, is we can give the people enough information and make it seem like fun. And sometimes people are afraid of the subject because, you got to know a whole lot. And no. I mean, my job is just to empower them, to make them think that their opinion is just as important as anybody else's. And what I try to do with the stand-up and in the book is just have, take the facts and look through my lens. This is how I see them. Not that anybody else can, but I'll try to make you laugh.
Does it frighten you or encourage you that it's said that most most of the voters between, I think, 25 and 40 get their political information from The Daily Show and The Colbert Report.
Oh, that's BS.
You think it's
I mean,
BS?
you look at the ratings. They're only getting 217,000 people a day. You know, is that most of the people be the ages of 25 and 40?
Don't forget there are people who watch it on the internet the next day.
That's true. But
I remember when I was you know, I came of age in the 60s, and I was part of the generation that all the student movements came out of, including FSM. And I was at the University of California in an organization that preceded and helped to organize FSM, which was called SLATE. And we used to have these meetings, and we would sit there and we would discuss all the issues, you know, civil rights and international policy. When the Peace Corps was suggested, we discussed that as if we were making the policy ourselves. We all felt that our opinions were very important. You know, I mean, young people often do, you know, feel that, but not enough anymore. There's some way that people no longer feel as if it's worthwhile for them to, among each other, discuss that. But we talked about it as if we were making policy.
But there
So
are good things. The kids don't care about black or white or gay or straight like the older generations do. All the kids are worried about is who's going to pop for the $400 bottle of Grey Goose in the VIP section at the club. They got their priorities straight.
So I just want to make explicit something that may be so obvious it doesn't need it, but I'll flog this horse. The key to this isn't just fun and enjoyment, it's fellowship. It's getting together and staying together. Yeah. You know this, you're book group people, and your two pleasures are books and groups, and being together on an ongoing basis and building those relationships.
That's it?
That is, there may be some others.
No beer?
That's
chocolate, books, groups, and chocolate.
That is essential. We can't do it without that in a really conscious way. I did a talk show for 10 years, and I had a few callers whose only purpose in life was to tell me all is lost, it's hopeless, forget it, corporations have it sewed up. They would just enlighten me on that every single day. I'd say, how's this working for you? But that was another discussion. But in every case, when I asked them about their lives, they were isolated. They were alone. They were stewing in their own despair. Mm-hmm. So a lot of there's a lot of ways to generate more involvement, but a crucial element, I would say an essential element, is staying together in a regular kind of way. I'm personally a fan of monthly dessert potlucks, where on a rotating basis, somebody's got a responsibility of putting a topical program together, and maybe it can be something that's going on in your community that you want the group to consider some group action about, and holding each other accountable the next time around. That's how it weaves into our lives in a way that satisfies us.
One thing that we could do is to have election night parties. I mean, there was an event that was held at the Albany Public Library that I was part of on the night of the VP debate. And the Albany Public Library got a huge screen, a movie-sized screen, and projected the debate. And the hall, it was a hall this big, and it was filled with people. And then George Lakoff and I came on and discussed it a while, and then invited the audience to discuss it.
That's great.
And people just loved it. They were so enthusiastic for it. And I think we could be doing this in every community constantly, anytime there's any sort of major event to organize.
We had an event 10 days ago in Oregon. I live in Southern Oregon. We've got 10 pretty big ballot measures that people have not been talking about because there's so much attention on the presidential race. And I called 10 friends and said, would you take a ballot measure and make a 5-minute presentation on it and summarize it pro and con? And 300 people came and went away more energized, went away saying, we can do this. Let's do this every time there's an